female Thor, Miss Marvel, and Batwoman. Female characters in a male-dominated comic universe. These characters are not only starring in their own books, they are fully clothed. To show you why that is a big deal, we had people compare two comic book covers and tell us what stands out.
Like, why is she wearing anything to this point?
To one, it's Wonder Woman, who she's powerful, and then making another woman look like she's less powerful with less clothing on her body.
I don't think it's really truthful to women.
The Red Sonja doesn't make me feel the greatest. The Wonder Woman seems fine. She seems strong, so that makes me feel pretty good, but I don't know. It doesn't, it makes me feel like, well, then women are just a sex symbol. That's basically.
I guess it doesn't really bother me that much because I grew up with it like this, like it's always been sexualized.
Contrary to what some people think, a fully clothed female lead is not a new thing.
Well, Nelvana Northern Lights was definitely the first major female superhero in comic books, and she actually originated from Toronto in 1941 and was based on an Inuit woman living in Nunavut. So she tends to be a very strong female character in a lot of ways, mostly because her adventures didn't really revolve around a male love interest or anything. She had sidekicks who were men, but that was about it.
Contrary to what people think, a highly sexualized female lead is not a new thing. The characters gradually became the exception instead of the norm, as over the years, artists bought in to the more risque artwork.
The 90s was also kind of the birth of variant covers, so a lot of extra covers for issues, and so a lot of those covers were, yeah, the scantily clad main character, or, you know, the woman or the sidekick that was in the comic would be scantily clad on a separate cover or something like that. And, you know, it was kind of sex sells, and so they kept producing them and people kept buying them, and yeah, so I think it really, that was the moment when it got really bad.
Dustin Glazeman is a University of Winnipeg student getting his master's degree in cultural studies and says healthy representations of women in comics is an uphill battle.
I think that it's improving, but I mean, there's still that kind of step forward, two steps back scenario, whereas the comic industry is still predominantly led by male artists and male creators, right? And so it's kind of, there's that tough balance. So while there is more female characters, it's still a battle, I think.
I think men would go towards the newer comic that has, you know, more skin on a woman rather than the Wonder Woman who's covered up.
Coming from a person who doesn't read comic books, I'd be more enticed to read the one that is more sexualized just because it looks more appealing to the reader.
Some guys, like, they find it like, oh yeah, that's nice. And some others, like, they like the storyline.
The problem is, not all comic fans are male.
So with a lot more female readerships becoming more active and involved and kind of demanding characters that better represent their own interests, it's something that we're being able to see characters that are being geared away from the old bad girl and TNA type of superheroes, I think.
But with every Miss Marvel or Wonder Woman, there are 5 White Queens or Starfires.
Unfortunately, it isn't a strict line progression, and I'm always worried that it'll go back. And so every time we see something kind of show some of the old ways or the kind of misogyny that is really uncomfortable for us, I think it's especially worrying because we've worked really hard to show that we are a significant percentage of the comic book readership population.
I think if they just start treating female characters the same way that they treat male characters, not as a trope in the comics, but more of a main lead character that has her own feelings and can have a variety of different emotions, different outfits, different costumes, and different superpowers too.
So this female Thor may be smashing villains, but at the same time, moving comics closer to equality. For Go Winnipeg, I'm Blair Malazdrewich.